Real quick before we get into today's video, just want to thank all the people over on Patreon for all their support, because without their help, the upgraded content that you see on the channel, that you really see in the video essays and a few of the lore discussions would not be possible without their help. But over on the Patreon, you get sneak peeks of videos months in advance. Patrons also get priority on the Q&As. Every 3 months we do an anime and manga haul, and I give away a lot of good goodies in that. And it's also just really cool to talk to you guys in the DMs, and if some of you guys have theories that you want me to talk about on the channel, obviously I will talk about your theories. Just send them to me over on the Patreon. But with that being said, let's get into the review. Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another review for Boruto Naruto Next Generations manga chapter 67. And now that chapter 67 is done in the books, dude, do we got a lot to talk about right here. And I'm gonna say it right now, my favorite part of the chapter is not the whole thing with Momoshiki making the sacrifice for Boruto. I'm back and forth on how I feel about that. That's not what excited me. It was the human element of Naruto as a father, and seeing how you had a nice bow placed on the conflict of Naruto as a father versus Naruto as a Hokage. I love that. That is something I will touch on later on in the review, as well as this whole controversy of how Naruto responded to Kawaki killing Boruto. So getting right into it, I have to say, I like how the chapter just immediately picks up exactly where the last one left off. When you read this chapter in the manga volume, this can be one of those times where the pacing just continues to flow. Boruto's laying on the ground motionless. He's got this huge wound in his chest. His heart's been destroyed. His lungs have been destroyed. Naruto's running over to Boruto. He's trying to wake his son up. Naruto right now, for the time being, has Sage Mode still activated, which means that Naruto, in terms of the spiritual side of his chakra, he hasn't gotten a full mental nerf yet, but he's lifting Boruto up. He's trying to look closer at him, trying to assess the damage of his body, but at the same time he's screaming, Boruto, what's going on? This can't be happening. Boruto, wake up. And it's just so heartbreaking to see the way that Naruto was holding Boruto. Like, my God, if you don't feel something when you see that right there, you are not human. And what I like right here is that Ikimoto took that time to just give you a glimpse into Naruto's mental mind state and then shift the focus over to Kawaki. And I like how with Kawaki, everything's different in terms of tone, because this man right now, he don't just want smoke. The man got the whole barbecue ready, and he ready to start serving up not just Boruto packs, but he also got some Code steaks that he's gonna be putting on the grill as well. And this man tells Code, I hope you're ready right now. Kawaki's got his karma activated, his left eye still activated. Kawaki for a moment is looking over at Naruto and Boruto. Code is like, oh my God, what's getting ready to happen? He's trying to get some intel from Ada. Damon is just sleeping in Ada's lap, and Ada tells him like, yo, I know what's about to happen. I know you need to feed a living sacrifice to the Ten Tails, but you're not gonna use Kawaki now. So what if Boruto died? You can't use him. That's not our agreement. And I like what you're seeing right here, because it goes back to what I said. There's a split coming. What I also like right here is that Code's like, man, you know, this was an act of God, girl. You know, I can't help it if Boruto went smoke. It is what it is. We got to cross that bridge when we get there. And what I like about that is that Code tries to just go ahead and escape. Kawaki looks over at him. He's like, where do you think you're going? And what's so interesting about that is that Code tries to play his mind games. He tries to tell him like, hey, you know, you're always going to be a living sacrifice. You're always going to be somebody that is never truly free. That is going to be your destiny. And when Shikamaru gets freed from Code, Code tries to escape, and Kawaki uses his Sukuna Hikona in order to shrink the claw marks. That way Code can't actually retreat into him. And so I like that you see that. I like how Code is basically pissing himself as he's watching Kawaki do this slow badass walk towards him. Kawaki ain't saying nothing. Kawaki's looking at him like, fam, you're not getting out of here. I'm about to kill you. And once Code realizes his predicament, that's when Kawaki finally speaks, and he says, you shouldn't be talking about the destiny of nobody. Because if I'm willing to kill Boruto, somebody I consider to be a brother, what the fuck do you think I'm gonna do to you? And I like that. This dude got all types of smoke that he's ready to hand out. And what's so crazy about this is that Kawaki just immediately goes right with the black rods and he's trying to attack Code with them. Code manages to get out the way. Code transforms his arm into a claw. He tries to take some swipes at Kawaki. Kawaki holds up his arm and blocks him, and then he turns around and counters him, knocks Code right in the face, sends this dude flying backwards, makes him land on the ground, and that's when Code realizes, I can't beat him. And I like that you saw that admission right there, because he's in that same situation where Boro was, only he's got his wits about him, which is the fact that if I don't watch it, I'm going to lose. And the only time that it looks like Kawaki hesitates is when Boruto is being cradled by Naruto and Shikamaru starts running over towards Naruto, and you have Naruto screaming at Boruto to open up his eyes. And I love that, man. Again, just seeing the true terror and conflict that Naruto feels, and to see Shikamaru's reaction to this huge hole that is in Boruto's chest. And you see how Shikamaru, somebody who's seen Boruto since he was a small child, immediately understand where Naruto's coming from, but he then puts his hand on his shoulders as Naruto begins to panic. At this point, Naruto has suffered so much of a mental nerf that Naruto has cut off his Sage mode. Because in this moment right here, Naruto doesn't care about anything else in the world. He cares about his dead child. And that just touches me so much, because when you look at the relationship that Naruto and Boruto had in Naruto Gaiden, where you saw the tension building over from what you saw in chapter 700 of Naruto, where Naruto had to tell Boruto, like, I'm always gonna be your father, but I'm gonna be the Hokage first. You saw Boruto was struggling with accepting that in Naruto Gaiden. You saw how in the Boruto movie, which is the versus Momoshiki arc in the anime and manga, how Naruto and Boruto slowly began to reconcile their relationship, and how Naruto still kind of struggled with being a father and a Hokage, but he's leaning more so into being a father. To see how Naruto is so crushed right now, it just kind of goes back to the fact that, as he's saying, am I having a bad dream? Imagine this for Naruto as somebody who didn't grow up with a father. And for the longest time, the only thing he could provide for his son was the peace of mind that dad is here. There's nobody that can whoop your dad's ass. I might not always be home, but you'll always be safe as long as I'm alive. I'll always protect you. And now Naruto doesn't have Kurama, so he can't actually protect Boruto, and even worse, and he wasn't able to save his son from dying. Naruto is crushed right now. As a Hokage, he's not even strong enough to protect his village, and as a father, he was not strong enough to protect his son. This is beautiful writing right here. Naruto is having a panic attack, and I love it. And Shikamaru tries telling him, like, look, Naruto, I know this is a messed up situation, but the battle's not over. Kawaki is pushing Code to the ground. If all three of us team up, we should be able to take down Code. Naruto doesn't care. Shikamaru's cussing at this dude. He's trying to shake this man. The ground is just shaking as the battle's ramping up, and Shikamaru can't get through to him. Naruto keeps saying, I must be in a bad dream. This can't be happening. Shikamaru, tell me the truth. Naruto wants somebody to lie to him right now. And what I like right here is that Shikamaru keeps trying to press the buttons. He's like, get it together, you asshole. Now, this changed the translation, but Shikamaru says, get it together, you asshole. You're the Hokage. And what I like right here is that Shikamaru tries to tell him, your son died as a ninja. He did this in order to protect us. You don't have time to be a parent. You're the Hokage. As the battle between Kawaki and Code begins to start ramping up, Code is now in full-blown panic mode. He's like, how's Kawaki doing this? I'm gonna get myself killed at this point. And the way that the flow of the battle is going, Shikamaru's assessment was right. Shikamaru might not be the strongest person on the battlefield, but he's able to read a situation, come up with a strategy, and he's telling Naruto the right thing. If we assist Kawaki, we can kill Code. We can kill the guy who can unleash the Ten Tails on this planet. But Naruto's too shocked. Right now, Naruto is still too traumatized to even think about anything other than being at his son's side. You have the fight and the flight instinct, and right now, Naruto is just so messed up in the head. It's not even flight, it's just full-blown surrender because he is still traumatized by seeing his son in that situation. It's a very human response, and I appreciate the writing that's done here for Naruto. And you're seeing why when you have people that are in charge of a military, which Naruto technically is as a Hokage, Konoha is the Land of Fire's capital, but it's also over the shinobi that are used to protect that entire country. There needs to be degrees of separation between yourself and the people you command. Your judgment is clouded and it's human. And we've seen Naruto struggle with this to a certain extent because Naruto gets very attached. And if we take a look at it, Momoshiki tried to exploit it when used Boruto's body to try and kill Naruto, and he was mocking him. Ishiki, while controlling Jigen's body, called Naruto soft-hearted, and I believe when Ishiki got resurrected, that's one of the things he said to Naruto, which is that his soft nature will be his undoing. And we're seeing here now how when Naruto needs to be the Hokage more than anything else, he defaults back to being a father, and that is so human. It's a great personality trait for Naruto, but it's also a tragic flaw for his character. And it's also an example of why sometimes the best person at something isn't fit to lead people. Sometimes the strongest person isn't fit to lead an army. In the case of Naruto, he's a great leader, but in a situation like this, he's too emotionally attached. When he was needed to make the cold and calculated decision right there in the moment, he wasn't able to separate emotion from his duty as Hokage. That was something that Minato was able to do. Again, it's a tragic character flaw. I'm not bashing Naruto, but I know some idiot's gonna write that in the comment section. I'm not saying that. It's a tragic character flaw. And it's because of that inability to make the right call, the hard call during this moment, that Code is able to turn the tables on Kawaki at the last minute because he reaches into his cloak when Kawaki's about to unleash an energy blast. The blast gets reflected and we get the revelation that Code pulled Damon, and Damon was able to reflect the energy blast. So now the one opportunity they had to take down Code is now gone because Kawaki, their best asset, has been defeated because Damon reflected that attack back. And because Kawaki's attack was charged with bloodlust, it was magnified. Which on a side note, that's pretty huge just given the fact that Shikamaru knows that Code was working with somebody. Amato's already putting the pieces together that they're in an outer member with the abilities that sound like Ada's, and now they've visually seen Damon and they've seen Damon's ability. Amato's going to be able to give intel. So that's a nice plot twist, and I like how what this moment is also doing is sowing further seeds of dissension between Code and Ada, because Ada is like, you did this arbitrarily. You didn't consult me. You might have accidentally killed Kawaki. He has to check on Kawaki to make sure he didn't actually kill him. And Ada's making threats to him. So again, we're seeing more seeds of a split. I don't know when Ada's gonna turn on him or when Damon might turn on Code, but the turn is coming. But before we get to any type of turn, you're going to have the revelation and the intel on Ada and Damon, because Shikamaru saw Damon. He heard his voice. He saw his abilities. And I got to give shouts out to Damon. Like, this dude turned around and he wanted all the smoke. He said, wait a second, I got to go kill them. All right, boss, I got you. But before Damon can start making heads roll, Code sends him back to Ada. I was really hoping that we would see Code unleash Damon on everybody, because if you thought Jigen bodying Naruto and Sasuke was bad, wait until you see Damon just body Naruto. Can you imagine the meltdown that would happen? I love Hokage Naruto, but I would be making memes about it, but it would get so bad if that happened. Oh God, imagine if he bodied Sasuke. It's one thing to be told that Damon and Ada possess combat power that goes beyond Jigen. That in itself should let people know like, oh, okay, these guys are pretty strong. But when it comes to Boruto, a lot of people seem to not be able to grasp the concept of power clipping, or it's willful ignorance. But in the case right here, we have a feat that actually backs it up, because like Kawaki had a bloodlusted blast that got sent back. So I mean, we're seeing that there is some truth to this. And what's even scarier is the fact that Code, before he retreats, whispers to Kawaki, "I'll see you again once I have a model take my limiters off." So for as strong as Code is with the Karma Seal, it's gonna get even stronger once he finally gets his hands on Amato, and Amato is forced to take those limiters off. And this is where we get to the controversial part of the chapter: Boruto's revival and Naruto's answer to Shikamaru, when Shikamaru basically tells Naruto, like, how can you continue to even look at Kawaki like a son? He acted on his own. He is obsessed with you. He was willing to kill Boruto without any type of consultation. He's a loose cannon. I told you we should lock this kid up. And Naruto's like, yo, he's still a part of my family. This has pissed a lot of people off. I'm going to make a video addressing this, but I'm going to give you a short answer right now for why this was written this way. Naruto forgiving Kawaki is something that I understand why Kishimoto wrote that, because this whole sequence of a conversation between Shikamaru and Naruto is meant to highlight Naruto's struggle of being a Hokage and being a father and not being able to balance that. That goes back to what you saw with Boruto Naruto the movie, where Naruto had that struggle. Even though he's made strides towards it, he still struggles with it. And you have Shikamaru telling him stuff like, hey man, we can't just let this kid come back into the village. When the villagers find out about this stuff, they're not going to accept him. They already doubt him. What about Boruto's peers? We can't act unilaterally like this without consulting other Kages. We got our own village and our own reputation to uphold. And there are certain things that were said there that if Naruto could have been swayed, Shikamaru just talked Naruto into going further into actually forgiving Kawaki. In particular, that line about the villagers turning their back on Naruto, because one of the first things that Naruto associated with Kawaki is he projected his own feelings of once being a Jinchuriki onto Kawaki. Now, the forgiving portion of it, which is the controversial part of it, that's what we got to address now, because now we've addressed the narrative intention behind it in terms of the craft-based decision for it. Let's look at the character portion. Naruto is not Sasuke. If this was Sasuke, Sasuke would lose it, and Sasuke likely would have started cutting heads off if somebody would have killed Sarada. The thing with Naruto is that when you look at Naruto's journey, Naruto is basically somebody that is love and forgiveness personified. Revenge is not what he is. That's the whole journey that Naruto went through in the Naruto manga. Let's take things a step further and let's just remind people of a few things here. Naruto was able to forgive Nagato, even though he killed Jiraiya, he killed Kakashi, he destroyed the village. He was able to forgive and overcome the darkness inside of his own soul at the Waterfall of Truth. He was able to forgive Obito. It's part of his character. Yes, Boruto is his son. I totally understand that. But it would be a regression if Naruto didn't offer that forgiveness, especially under these circumstances. Naruto knew the same thing that Shikamaru did, which is that Amato's pills were not an end-all be-all. They were a temporary solution. Naruto knows that his son ultimately decided to go through with this as a shinobi. Now, Sasuke was there. Sasuke would be the one that could have got through to Naruto, because that wasn't Shikamaru's place to say that. But Shikamaru was the only one who could actually say anything, because he's the only one there. For me personally, that's one of the issues I do have with Naruto. Sometimes I feel like Naruto is a little bit too perfect, but Naruto's always been meant, in particular once you get to the back half of part 2, to be that character that's the best version of what we as people should aspire to become. I myself I'm not a very forgiving person. Once you get on my shit list, you typically stay there. And to keep it a buck with you, that extends to everybody that rock with you. Once I don't mess with you, I don't mess with you and anybody cool with you. That's not a very Naruto-like thing to do. Now, it's something I'm trying to work on, but I'm still petty. I'm one of those people, if you good with me, you good with me, and I will give you the shirt off my back. If I don't mess with you, I will drive right past you on a hot summer day and I will pull over and let you feel the AC in the car and then kick your ass right back out. Now, likely you're gonna see Naruto a little bit more on guard with Kawaki right now, but being able to forgive and not judge somebody off of one act, that is in character for Naruto. Much respect to that man, because it damn sure couldn't be me. Now, we got to close things out by talking about the revival of Boruto, and I got to give Ikimoto credit here. You guys know I've been very critical about the paneling with Boruto. It's gotten better, but I've been very critical of it. However, this scene right here, this was good. This was good paneling. Kind of wish we had something like this for Kurama's death, but I'm not going to get on that though. The way that Ikimoto slowed down the panels, which I've been screaming ever since I started reviewing the Boruto manga. Live in the moment a little bit more, play with paneling, slow down the scenes, don't rush towards your impact shots. I love the way that you see the tears welling up in Naruto's eyes, and then you see the way that the man's mouth is drawn. You see the tear start rolling down his cheek, and then you see Naruto hugging Boruto. That's how you panel. That is how you panel. I cannot stress that enough. And I like the information we get after this, because like Shikamaru's looking at this and he's like, dude, there's no way Boruto should be alive. I saw his heart destroyed. I saw his lungs destroyed. He had a whole wind tunnel in his stomach. How is he alive? And then we find out what happened with Momoshiki. While Naruto was losing his mind over Boruto's death, Momoshiki has a moment of character development. So what Momoshiki did is he converted the remaining 18% of his DNA that would have decompressed into Boruto, which would have allowed him to revive using Boruto's body and erase Boruto's soul. He took that 18%, he fixed Boruto's heart, he fixed his lungs, he basically made him a new heart and lungs by rebuilding that cellular tissue, but it came at the expense of Momoshiki ever being able to resurrect using Boruto's body. So now it's a situation where Momoshiki's soul is going to remain inside of Boruto, but he can never resurrect using Boruto's body. So in a way, Boruto's been freed of the nightmare of Momoshiki resurrecting and erasing his consciousness. However, Momoshiki tells him, when I told you that these blue eyes of yours would take everything from you, I wasn't referring to this moment. So we still have something coming for Boruto in the future. And Momoshiki knows something, but he's not divulging any of the truth. I'm kind of wondering if we're going the route of the Momotaro mythology, which I'll cover in a video. The one criticism I would have about this is that we haven't seen enough of Momoshiki as an antagonist, in my opinion, in manga format to make this feel like it's earned. For Momoshiki to basically say, yeah, I'm going to give up my ability to revive using your body, and it's because I'm scared of having my soul disappear like Ishiki's soul did. I would have really liked to see Momoshiki go on a rampage and really have some long-lasting effects and damage, similar to how in Jujutsu Kaisen, Sukuna, the things that he's done using Yuji's body, it's long-lasting impact. The lives that he's taken, the chaos that he's brought about, it's had a huge psychological impact on Yuji to the point to where it weighs him down. I would like to see more of that from Boruto in the manga format. Now, I know somebody's gonna say, well, what about Sasuke's Rinnegan? Rinnegan went poke. Yes, absolutely, Rinnegan went poke. That ain't enough heat for me. I need more. This is a great payoff for Boruto. We know, especially based off of the anime, that Momoshiki has tormented him to the point to where he wasn't able to go to sleep. That's great. That's great payoff for Boruto. I don't feel the payoff for Momoshiki. In the manga, he felt like the villain of the week, and even when he was kind of lingering there, you had moments where it was kind of exciting, but I don't feel there was enough heat for this to be a good enough payoff. That's just my opinion though. Now, as for the people worried that Momoshiki and Boruto are going to share Thunder Burgers, I'm right there with you. I'm not particularly a fan of that idea, but I will say if it happens, this is a shonen. Boruto is the sequel to Naruto. That's like going to an MCU movie saying, my God, this is a serious moment. Why are they cracking jokes in the middle of a huge battle? It's part of the formula. They're not going to change gears right there in the middle. If they want to do something drastically different, they would have started at the time skip and just went from there. Now, in closing, the way the chapter ends off with Ada asking Code, well, how are you going to get your limiters taken off? The way that Code's implying it is, or rather the way that Code is hinting at it, it seems like he left one of his claw marks on Boruto, Shikamaru, or on Kawaki. So he's likely going to teleport in the next chapter or two, snatch out a motto, and then get his limiters taken off from there. Now, my chapter questions to you guys, I have two. Number one, how do you feel about Boruto being resurrected by Momoshiki with the condition that Momoshiki can't resurrect? And then number two, do you personally feel that this was an earned payoff for Boruto and for Momoshiki? Let me know down in the comment section below, but as always, guys, like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching to the end. Have an awesome day, guys.